We begin this half hour with former President Trump pleading not guilty to 34 felony counts of falsifying business records. The indictment is now unsealed, and we have all been pouring through the 16 pages. Thanks for sticking with us. I'm Lena Tillett.
And I'm Dan Haggerty. Trump currently in the air, heading back to Mar-a-Lago, where we know he's slated to speak tonight at 8 o'clock. Here is what we know right now, some of the big bullet points. The Manhattan DA says they have new evidence now in their possession. They didn't say specifically what that new evidence was. He also spoke about how participants in the alleged scheme knew the supposed payoffs were unlawful. And the next hearing we know in this case is now set for December 4th.
Joining us now is Duke University School of Law Distinguished Fellow Shane Stansbury. Mr. Stansbury is a Distinguished Fellow in the Center for Law, Ethics, and National Security at Duke Law School. However, most relevantly, he served for more than 8 years as Assistant U.S. Attorney in the Southern District of New York. We should note a role that Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg once also served in. Can't imagine a more informed guest. So Bragg says his office has prosecuted more than 100 cases like this of falsifying business records. But we know Donald Trump is not a normal defendant. He's a former president. Your thoughts on the strength of this case?
Well, thank you for having me. Yes, I will start by saying my reaction to the case was that this was both an ordinary and an extraordinary day in some ways. Ordinary in the sense that we did see an indictment that primarily listed felonies for the falsification of business records, but also extraordinary in the sense that it was quite a sight to see a former president sitting in that chair where you normally see a criminal defendant, and also seeing his name on an indictment. I think there is still a lot to learn. The indictment has answered some questions for us in the sense that we know that all of the counts relate to that one provision of New York law, the falsifying business records in the first degree. And we have a general sense of what the theory of the case is. And we also have a statement of facts issued by the district attorney, which also helps us put together the pieces. Some of this is a story that we already know, but there is still quite a bit to learn.
You know, oftentimes with these white-collar crimes, and this one specifically, people listening at home, it's sometimes difficult to figure out where they can hang their hat. It's tough to understand a bit of it. A lot of the debate today, even on NBC News, was about the strength of this case based on what we were able to learn today. Someone like you may be able to decipher that more than the average person at home. How are we to interpret the information today? Because some of it seemed to be vague.
Right. Well, the district attorney, as is appropriate, is going to speak through the indictment and through the charging instruments. So what we know from the charging instrument is that the DA has a theory of the case that the president and others engaged in a scheme to falsify business records for a period of time. Some of that relates to the story that has been in the news quite a bit, the hush money payments to Stormy Daniels. It appears from the statement of facts and the other facts that were revealed in the press conference earlier today that the charges go well beyond that. We don't know what the evidence is, though. Mm-hmm. The indictment was returned by a grand jury. And some folks might not recognize that a grand jury is different from a trial jury, and their job is to determine whether or not the prosecutor has presented probable cause mm-hmm. that a crime has occurred. So we know that the evidence gets us to probable cause. Mm-hmm. Whether it gets us to proof beyond a reasonable doubt is a different question, and we'll have to wait and see on that.
It's going to be up to 12 jurors to make that decision. Shane Stansbury of Duke University, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.